How's it going, Laser Bruises? I'm Bobby Sixkilla and welcome back to the letter. Finally, I have had serious issues recording this. Just as a note, it's probably too late at this point, but the new update they just rolled out for NVIDIA graphics cards breaks this game. So every time I loaded the game, it would crash and reboot the computer. So I had to roll back the graphics drivers just to get into the letter. So for anyone else with that very specific set of problems, that's how you fix it. Roll back the graphics drivers. Anyway, still Ashton, still getting there. We're gonna go check in on Becca, and she's still really unstoked with us. I can't imagine it's gonna go very well, but it'll be fine, I'm sure. I run my hand through my hair and straighten out my jacket before knocking. Once, twice, and 3 times, just to be sure that she heard me, even if she is asleep. She's usually awake by now, though.
Hey, Becca, it's Ash. Open up. Don't tell me you're still in bed.
Seconds tick by. No answer from her, and dread has started to creep up. I've been trained to handle dire situations, but the feeling has been doing that quite frequently since last night. My mind begins to anticipate the worst, and in the next minute, concern is mixed in with my thoughts while I bang my fist on the door, louder this time. She'll definitely be livid, but I'd rather face her wrath than a dead body.
Becca, it's Ash. There's something we need to talk about right away. Open up, I know you're...
Your girlfriend left early this morning, pretty boy. So if you could do us a bloody favor and shut up, that'd be real fucking polite.
Everyone around here in this set of apartments is really grumpy. They're really grumpy people. My hand pauses short of landing another heavy knock. Do you not have double glazing? Or insulation between your rooms? Come on. From the other unit, Rebecca's other neighbour peeks in through his door, though I see nothing but a bundle of blankets. I'll say, they need help from being devoured by their sheets, but it sounds like he's just fine. He's a huge arsehole too. Course of action, so people like him don't ruin your day. Act like the nicest person on the planet. Has done me wonders when I'm a rookie patrolling the streets. No need to match his temper.
Oh, did she say where she was going?
I don't know. She said something about meeting someone or something, in case Filipina girl over there asks. Well, what am I, her keeper? You know some people want to sleep in on a bloody Sunday, so keep it down. Just looking forward to this weekend. Thanks, you damn git.
Well, there's no need to be an ass about it. I'll get out of your...
He slams his door shut, without warning, but not before muttering a string of very colourful words about me. Probably thinks I won't hear him inside the 4 walls of his apartment.
Jerk.
And at the end of it, a sigh. That was not being the nicest guy in the world. So, Rebecca's not here. I must have missed her by an hour or so, but at least she's not alone. She should be safe, in theory. Unless she's not alone, but with her. More so, if the person she's meeting with is who I'm thinking. Andrew Clark? Nevertheless, I still can't help but worry. It's an easy thing, continuing down increasingly darker lines of thought. To act brashly, to find out where she is and go straight there, without deliberating on my actions first. There's Zach too to boot. Rebecca's not alone, but I can't say the same for the big guy. A simple phone call to the both of them should do the trick. It'll ease my nerves at any rate. It's better than rushing over to Zach's place or assuming Rebecca's whereabouts and finding out they're not where I've guessed they should be. Assuming the worst will come next, which I'd rather avoid this early. Any other reason I won't bother them, but an emergency begs for urgency. This is one, right? I mean, you saw the lady yesterday. Yeah, this is one. Even if it isn't, anxiety from concern dulls judgment, something I most certainly can't afford to lose at any given time, especially right now. Any means to calm it will do wonders for the muddled mess my mind is already in. Pulling out my phone, I thumb through the screen until it ends up on a group with only Zach's, Rebecca's, and Isabella's number listed. Other people will probably say I have too few friends when they chance on this. To some extent, it's true. I can easily name about 100 people I've been acquainted with throughout the years. Colleagues, blockmates from uni, neighbours, those sorts of people. They all come and go. But these three? These three have chosen to stay for some reason, without wanting or asking for anything. Unlike the others, none has Zach's kindness, Rebecca's patience, nor the sincerity in Isabella's eyes. One day these guys are just there. The next thing I know, being with them eases it. That heavy, somber feeling lingering in the air when you stand alone in your apartment. Or something as simple as spending a day off without anyone. I'll say it's loneliness, but this carries much more depth than that. If I can help it, I don't want to lose any of them to some stupid curse. A phone call may be the least comforting thing at the moment. Honestly, I prefer being in the same room with them right now, but I'll take what I can get. Becca first. We don't have a good track record of phone calls. She'll get angry with me for worrying about her. She isn't some helpless damsel in distress after all. She isn't the shy little girl I knew when we were children. She's already far from the people we were back then, but that's more than enough reason to check on her. I don't have to imagine her taking anything head on. She'll do it, instead of asking for help when she needs it. I don't care if she gets mad at me, if only to know she's fine. A ring. In the silence of the hallway, its sound alone might as well be sharp enough to pierce through my ears. Another second passes. 2. 3. But when on the 9th ring it goes straight to her voicemail, a cold feeling instantly lodges in my stomach.
Rebecca Gales here. You've reached my voicemail. Sorry if I can't get to you right now.
That's too polite. It must be her voicemail, not her actual voice. We should try Zach next.
Oh, and if this is Isabella, yes, you're free to reheat the food in my fridge. Otherwise, leave a message.
Probably just busy, that's all. Though I still barely manage to keep my voice even when I speak.
Hey, Becca, call me back when you're free. We need to talk. ASAP.
Becca will be alright. Is alright. She's safe. She's with someone else. In the event that woman shows up, she'll have someone with her. Someone she'll be able to ask for help. She's safe. She can handle herself. Becca might have a fiery temper, but she knows when she's faced with something she can't handle herself. Rebecca will see my missed call and she'll call me back. Though I don't express it enough, Rebecca is someone I consider important to me. She's been my friend for the longest. Anybody else would have been fed up with me and left. The girl stuck by me, no matter how big of a jerk I've been. There's Zach and Isabella now too, of course. I'll always be thankful for having them around. The worst times before, however, Becca was there. No one believes it when I say it, but I've surely had my awful moments as a bratty kid, and as a horrible teen. Issues I've had too many to count, and refused to deal with for a long time. At least, that's what Andrew likes to tell me. I tend to think nothing of it. It has mellowed down over the years, thanks to the professor mostly. But at times I do wonder if it still burdens me the way that it did all those years ago. After all, I was terrible. Especially around the time of my parents' separation. Looking back at it now, I had no reason to direct all my frustration towards everyone else. While I wasn't a kid who lashed out at anyone, preferring to keep it to myself and turning those negative feelings into more productive things. I've grown distant from a lot of people because of it. From my old friends back in my old school and the neighbours I've hung out with before moving. A habit I've likely brought with me into adulthood. I was just so angry with everyone and everything. All I kept thinking about was myself, wondering why me? In retrospect, I was a selfish little bastard who thought the world revolved around me. That I shouldn't have been going through it. I believed my behaviour was entitled, that I had the right. Tough times, but she stuck with me. Snapped me out of my little sulk, as she often phrases it, whenever she sees the chance to bring it up. She didn't tolerate my bullshit, but she didn't leave me alone either. If anything, the whole thing made her stick around. Her concern may have grown a bit overbearing as the years went by, but she's still an old friend nevertheless. I owe her a lot. That won't change.
Damn it. Where are you, Becca?
Another message left on her voicemail, then on my third call I hang up. For the time being, I can't do anything more than wait for her to return my calls. Worrying aimlessly won't get me anywhere. Zach, on the other hand, that guy attracts trouble no matter how much he tries to avoid it. Doesn't help how he hasn't been too hot lately with a couple of people. His mention of plans yesterday didn't sit too well with me either. He might be the next responsible adult after Rebecca, out of the four of us, but I've still got to check on the big guy. Make sure he's doing okay, at the very least, whatever he has planned on doing. All I'm asking is for it to not be idiotic. He's a sensible guy, I'm sure. I mean, you know him. However, desperation clings and pushes people to do things, rational or irrational. It doesn't matter. Clear thinking flies out the window the moment you're in danger, and I sincerely hope he has not found himself in a tricky situation. His phone doesn't even ring before he answers. Or his voicemail, at least.
Hey, it's Zach. Well, a voicemail anyway. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So, just leave a message, yeah?
That means his phone's turned off, or dead.
And no, Ash, you're not allowed to lockpick your way into my apartment again. Just do what any other decent human being does and call if I'm not around. Thanks.
We don't need to do either, we got a spare key, remember? Did he turn it off? Why? I don't want to assume the worst yet. Maybe he's forgotten to charge it? Can't be. The guy can be a bit of a Boy Scout, even more than I am as a cop. He's the type who has an extra battery or a power bank in his bag if he ever needs it. and he always does. He won't say anything or brag about it, but he's got quite the roster of VIP freelance clients. He won't just leave his phone dead in case he's on the field, particularly when people will likely be looking for him. He always leaves his connection open whenever clients or his friends need him. Zach is reliable like that.
Why isn't anyone answering?
His mobile in an out-of-range area sounds more plausible, although the thought of it doesn't completely shake off the unease. Unlike Rebecca and I, he took the time to listen to what Isabella said. And even if he didn't believe it, he was definitely the first one to offer help or to try to do something. If he ends up in trouble doing whatever it is, so help me, well, I can't be rash. I'm aware of that, been running the same reminder in my head since last night. But if something happens, I'm certain my reaction won't be pretty. The added guilt from those times I've repeatedly dismissed him will surely haunt me.
Yo, Zach, call me back, alright? I wanted to check in and, yeah, just please call me back.
Z-Man. It's usually a joke between us when I say he's the Watson to my Sherlock. I don't see him as some assistant to put aside until he's needed, like some people like to believe, though. He's not some pity friend I keep around to make myself look good.
If anything, he's the one who stayed by me out of pity.
Zach's the one who puts up with me most of the time, even when he doesn't need to. It's not a case of a cool cop who helped out a minority. In truth, I was a hard-headed, hot-tempered, and reckless rookie up until I met him. It wasn't anything sudden, and some part of me is still that rookie. But I've grown, thanks to him. He tempers that part of me. Considering how our first impressions went, I'm lucky he's still around. Becca and I may have spent a lot of years together as children, but Zach, he's probably the closest thing I'll call to a best friend, though it's more than that. A camaraderie no words can express. I think the word you're looking for is bromance. He has my back and I'll always have his. He's a brother I've never had the luck of ever having. Only child and all.
And I have every reason to worry about my brother.
Becca's neighbour did say she went out to meet with someone. No specific names. If I'm wrong and she's not with Professor Clark, then maybe it's with Zach. Why don't we ring Professor Clark? They've never been close, but it's not the kind of awkward friendship where meeting together remains out of the question. Regardless, I continue dialing for his phone another 3 times, like I've done with Becca's. In the end, after the 3rd attempt with no one answering, I stop and cut the call with a ragged exhale.
Waiting game it is then.
Ring Professor Clark, stupid. Come on, you're a frickin' detective. I've been trained for those. Hell, I'm used to them. Just not when it comes to people I'm close to. Much as I keep reminding myself to maintain a level head, it's a whole different matter when it's someone you know. Personal feelings will likely get involved at some point. It's starting now, actually, with the anxious strings coiling and uncoiling, causing a racket inside my stomach. It annoys me that all I can do right now is grip my teeth and trudge back to Isabella's apartment. Useless. That's what I am in the face of this. A mad dash around Luxport and Anselm isn't going to help things. It's not like I'll simply stumble across them on the side of the road during a drive. The city's too large a place for one person to go searching for only 2 people. I'll be like if I even glimpse the hair of either of them. With one last frustrated glance toward the open skies, I slip back into Isabella's apartment and slam the door behind me. I slam the door, she's sleeping. I might have already grown used to this, but the waiting will always be the hardest part. More so when it's the people you care about.
Ash, did you really have to shut it like that?
See? This is not the first time I've seen Isabella like this. Standing casually by her kitchenette, a ladle in her hand, keeping an eye on whatever's stewing on the stove, while humming a soft tune under her breath. 5 years ago, it has become a common sight after the 3 of them, including Zach and Rebecca, found a mutual interest in cooking. After that, whenever our schedule allows it, one of them will invite everyone to dinner or lunch instead of eating out. Rebecca prefers it that way. Healthy, as she claims. Zach's just too happy to be able to cook for everyone. Isabella, on the other hand. As long as there's food, she's happy. Me? I've been banned from the kitchen ever since the pressure cooker incident. Easier times. Good times. Right now, however, the scene brings an odd sense of normalcy. A strange fit with all the things going on around us. Not unwelcome, only bizarre, I suppose? Isabella doesn't follow up on her question earlier, but she does raise an eyebrow my way when I take too long to answer. For that, I only offer a casual shrug in response, and a short answer.
I've checked with Zach and Rebecca. I'm just waiting to hear back from them.
I added an equip or 2 for her, if the timing for the joke isn't off or doing so wouldn't be inappropriate. I don't want to alarm her either, there's no reason to. Yet. Until I've received an answer from Rebecca or Zach, whichever comes first. Nevertheless, it's clear she has plenty of questions. It's right there in the subtle crease between her eyebrows and the inquisitive gleam in her eyes. Curious as she is, though, she decides against voicing all of her questions out. Instead, she shifts her attention back to the stove and gestures vaguely with her hand in the couch's direction.
Well, if we're going to wait for them, don't stand around there. It's getting distracting.
You're just cooking. How am I distracting?
I don't know. Something might explode again, maybe. Zach's kitchen ban for you is also in effect here, you know. Now shoo, go. Stop hovering. You'll ruin the food. I'll be done here soon.
She leaves no room for an argument by swatting the ladle at me, and just like that, I've been kicked out of the kitchen. Left with nothing else to do, I drift back to her tiny living space and slump down on the couch. Closing my eyes, I allow the noise from the television to guide my thoughts. The ones I've been keeping at bay, freeing them from the cage I've built around them so I won't have to think. One by one, they trickle back into my consciousness, each more frightening and unnerving than the other. So many things going on. So many things happening. The papers we've gotten from BRC doesn't provide any comfort either. Seriously, is there even a point to those after last night? What will asking those people do? If anything, it'll only prove that there are more copies of that dumb piece of paper. We have one here, and how many exactly is there out there? More importantly, how do we get out of this stupid mess?
Ashton.
Damn it. I haven't felt this kind of bone-weary exhaustion in years.
I don't want to think what might happen next in case I miss something. Shit.
Rebecca, Zach, Isabella.
They're all depending on me, and...
Ash!
The voice snaps me out of my thoughts, abruptly wiping away everything running a racket inside my head. Suddenly, Isabella's there, crouched in front of me when I crack an eye open. I haven't even noticed the exact moment when I bent over and buried my head in my hands. Figures why she's staring at me like I fainted or something. The crease in her eyebrows grow deeper at my lack of response. Although she's merely staring at me without saying a word, her expression says everything. So much for trying not to alarm her with bad news.
Sorry, I just spaced out for a moment. Don't mind me.
For a brief moment, she seems to accept that. Quietly, she shifts, stands up, and takes the empty space right beside me. All done without a single comment. Then, the next thing I know, she's gently pushing a bowl in my hands. The scent reaches me first, before I've gotten the chance to take in what she's just handed me. A faint, sweet smell of cocoa wafts from the dish. Calming, comforting, despite the multitude of things bothering me. It certainly smells like the kind of food you'd eat on a rainy day. Though from the get-go, it doesn't look appetizing. Yeah, it does. What is this even? Cocoa Pops? Porridge? Why would you put chocolate in it and milk drizzled on top? She tells me my tastes are weird, and yet here she is, handing me something equally as strange. In fact, she's already started digging in hers. I'm just not sure the taste will be equally as appealing. Baffled, I glance her way. She offers no immediate answer, simply continues eating as if she hasn't done so in a week, with her focus solely on the television. That's just how she eats, right? She's not watching, however, just listening. There's a background noise. The voices from it seem too cheerful, a welcome distraction, if anything. It's only after she's finished off half the bowl does she acknowledge the question in my eyes. With a sigh, she cradles the dish in her lap and looks down at it. Briefly, her lips part, then close. A hesitation, though I don't push her. There's this distant air on her, as if she remembered something that warrants a poignant thought. When she speaks at last, it's in a tone too careful, like she's still weighing her words, considering the proper phrasing for it. Yet, sincerity underlies each syllable once they're out the open.
You should eat. Back at home, Mom would never let us leave the house if we hadn't eaten breakfast yet. Even Papa has gotten an earful when he tried. So eat. You'll need it.
She returns to her food afterwards, while I can only stare at the one she's proffered not a few minutes ago, warm against my hands, tempting me to take a bite. Not that I don't appreciate this, but what good will this do? Zach and Rebecca's both out there. No one knows when the ghost will show up again. Even in our dreams, we're not safe. But that's it, isn't it? We don't know when, and at present, we have a chance at respite. Maybe the only one we'll have. Even if it's as mundane as sharing food between us, quietly, just seating side by side like this, without exchanging any words. The intent hangs unspoken in the air. Something that probably goes as far back as the second she offered food. Still, in the end, Isabella never pushes it. Rather, she lets her own silence convey her hope. Whether I'll allow myself that break, she leaves up to me. Of course we're going to take her offer. It would be very impolite to refuse her food.
Thank you.
The words roll off my tongue, awkward and unfamiliar, far removed from those jests and quips we've shared. Yet she accepts this with a smile and nothing more, Regardless of everything left unsaid, the sight of it brings comfort. More so than any generous offer of food can give. Though we both lapse into silence after, as we finish our food, there's ease in it. In this. In the muffled sounds of Luxborn filtering into the room. In the light streaming from her windows and the faint draft occasionally drifting in, catching the loose tendrils of her hair. In the way her voice falters when she tries to form words. And despite the horror looming over us, I find myself wishing for the minutes to slow, for the seconds to last. But ultimately, she's the one who breaks it. Softly after a minute's pause and words mumbled under her breath. Sometimes silence completely compels us to speak.
I've been wondering, before last night, before Mama told me the news, what if Papa passes away, despite everything? That sort of thing. I know it's not good to think about, but I also knew it was getting worse. Mama won't say anything, but I've always known that one day, he'll eventually...
She releases a sigh as her grip on the bowl she still holds tightens. There are no tears, but she might as well have them with how weak her voice falls. Are there even any left?
I don't know what I'm going to do. Before, I can easily say it's because of Papa. Now, I don't have anything.
You have that scholarship from Lux U.
Were you going through my personal papers while I was sleeping last night?
Maybe.
I don't really have to. You left it sitting in the open, right there on the table.
Like there's still anything to hide, she snatches it away from where I placed it back earlier. Except there's no anger or annoyance in her face when she looks at it and rereads every line with a pensive expression. After a short while, she folds it neatly along the creases and sets it back.
I don't even know if this will work out.
Well, if it doesn't, what about that exhibit you've been planning with Zach?
Do I even have to ask where you got that?
Zach sucks at lying. You have no idea how easy he is to read. It was all in his face when I asked about it. And anyway, if that doesn't pan out too...
I trail off, hesitating, measuring the weight of my next words. Genuine as they are, part of me believes they're a burden, too heavy to impose upon her. Because no matter how much I want her to stay, we're not what ties her here. It'll be selfish to ask that of her. More than anything, her family will always come first. I say it nevertheless, if only to let her know that no matter what her choice will be, there will be people here whose lives her mere presence has changed. Mine most of all.
You have us.
The words startle her to a pause, and slowly she turns to me, her eyes wide, disbelief all over her face. But before regret forces an apology up my throat, her expression dissolves to something I can't quite place. Something distinctly softer, more tender, familiar, almost in the same manner she glanced at me years ago, that day at the bridge. However, I didn't get the chance to figure out what it all means for her. All of a sudden, my ringtone breaks the... I hate this fucking ringtone! My ringtone breaks the moment, and just as fast, both our attention shift towards the source. Before things can get awkward fast, I stand up and leave the room while muttering some flimsy excuse to answer the phone.
Sorry, let me just take this call. It's probably Zach or Rebecca.
Really, I know we're in a pinch, but their timing can't get any worse. Unrelated frustrations aside, once I step out of the room and accept the call, the stone that has been stuck in my stomach simultaneously lodges itself up my throat. The person on the other side of the line isn't who I'm expecting.
Right, Eli's right, right? It's Officer Renz over at the precinct.
Ah.
You know, you bring me donuts to keep an eye out for you and shit.
Oh, yeah, right, Renz. What's up?
Sorry about the office lingo. Just keeping an eye out for shit, you know?
You've, never called me through this line before. Is this something urgent?
Yeah, kinda. Something came up this morning. You know the big guy? Your, buddy? The bloke Benjamin saw drop by here a few days ago? Big guy. Around 6 feet tall.
Zach?
I don't feel too good about this.
Yeah, him. Zachary Steele, I think.
What about him?
He's been detained and...
Wait, what?
What do you mean he's been detained?
They brought him in this morning.
That's not what I asked. What are the charges?
I don't know. Not my division. I'm not really supposed to be on the phone right now, but I thought you want to know. Anyway, I gotta go.
Is he still alive?
If you want to see him, just drop by. Not sure how that'll work, though. The chief has a standing order not to let you into the precinct until Monday.
Yeah. Thanks for the heads up. I'll bring you some coffee to go with those donuts, too, next time.
So he's still alive right now, then. The call ends with a click while I'm left here reeling, staring blankly at my phone. It's just my luck that in this exact moment, Isabella chooses to peek out from her apartment.
Was that Zach? Is he gonna drop by?
I have no idea how I look right now, but it must be far from anything pleasant. The curious expression on Isabella's face quickly melts away as soon as she chances a closer glance at me.
What's wrong, Ash?
I'm left with no other choice then. I tell her exactly as Officer Rains had said, and the more I spill, the more grim her countenance becomes.
Stay here. I'll go check on him. See what I can do.
No, I'll go with you.
Belle, I'm not going in there for a casual visit. Zach's in trouble and...
I know, but he's not the kind of person who'd do something that'll land him in prison. There must be a mistake.
Believe me, I'm on the same page as you, but...
I want to see him, all right?
And there it is again, that sharp gleam that has been present in her eyes since yesterday. Little by little, I'm finding it difficult to say no to it. What other choice do I have, too? Still no word on Rebecca, and Zach. Isabella probably doesn't want to be the one who ends up waiting for the bad news. I know exactly how that feels, so in the end, a nod's the simplest response I can give.
Just let me turn off everything. I'll be out in a few.
Quickly, she disappears behind the door. From inside, the sound of her foot shuffling, a few locks click shut, and a television being turned off drifts out the hallway. Her whole business inside only takes a few minutes. Within 5, we're both on our way to LPD. Oh no. At least we know where Zach is now. That explains why he's not answering his phone. But what the hell did you do, Zach? You said he had a plan that might help, but if it got him in enough trouble to get him in a cell, I don't think I like that plan of his. And hell yeah, I'm mad. I'm absolutely furious. It's just as Isabella said. I doubt Zach will get himself arrested because of an actual crime. But whatever stupid stunt he pulled to get there isn't any better. The only good thing today, so far, is the fact that the streets are nearly empty, so early on a Sunday morning. Very few pedestrians and virtually no other car on the road to get in the way of us rushing to the precinct. Within the speed limit, of course. You're a cop, to stick your light on. A whirlwind of activities welcomes us as soon as we waltz into LPD HQ. Fellow officers running here and there, pushing around paperwork and answering calls. It's almost Halloween and troublemakers are abound. Calls about pranks gone wrong make up most of this time of the year, along with the occasional altercation or missing dog. Some of the other officers who work with me look up from their desks and wave, though none of them move to stop us like I'm expecting. Standing order my ass. Probably didn't last a whole day. Although, I'd like to have a chat with them sooner or later about official matters. I'm not here for them right now. Of course, it never hurts to see what they have for me. And the best person to ask for details in this precinct is the guy behind the booking window. He glances up at me once when I approach, then immediately returns to his task, indifferent. Not that I need his full attention. As long as he talks, I'm good. Next to me, Isabella stands wordlessly, clearly uncomfortable, waiting in anticipation from how close she's sticking to me. But that's probably because she's been in the same position so many times in her life. Her drunken brother, the eldest, a repeat offender. Mostly minor cases, but she's had to bail him out every time, from what I gathered. I can't imagine what's going on inside her head now that it's happened to a close friend. Hearing the way these guys talk about him must be worse.
Hey, I heard there's a new guy in the holding cells.
Not many here know Zach, and if they've seen him, they don't pay too much attention. I try to keep my work and personal life as far away from each other as I possibly can. Each one of them is quick to chat, gossip, be the one to talk about the new detainee, and have everyone's attention.
News flies fast, huh? They just brought him in this morning.
Any info on him?
Got his ass handed by some rich bloke's bodyguard. Or butler. Whatever. When we got to the scene, he's already been strung up and ready for pickup. Hard to imagine how a guy like him could have been taken down. But the butler has this creepy air to him. I'd rather not ask.
He sure does.
Feel sorry for the bloke. He could have fought back.
That's because Zach wouldn't hurt a fly.
All said under her breath, but her grip on her bag grows rigid. Unlike me, she's not frustrated at Zach. That ire is directed at the person who put our friend in this predicament. It's true though. Zach's not that kind of person, and knowing he might be in a bad state, whatever little anger I built for him on the way here dissolves into thin air.
Has he been booked yet?
No, still sleeping. Creepy butler probably hit him hard.
Which is a good thing. If they slip up and forget, we get him a writ of habeas corpus and take him out of here, depending on what he's actually been charged with. But at the same time, it's bad. How long is he going to be unconscious?
Your friend was caught on right property. And you better believe I'm not happy about this. Not one bit.
Is that Lee? I want to say there must be some sort of misunderstanding. Zack isn't the type to do such a thing unless it was his plan all along. In that case, I couldn't just charge blindly into this without all the details, no matter how much I want to believe my friend's innocence. And right? Luke right? What on earth was Zack thinking? In any case, it doesn't look like the chief is happy, even if I don't protest and give him a salute. Not pleased at all if the fact that he grabs me and pulls me aside is any indication. If I were to describe his expression, he looks ready to kill me.
I swear, Frey, if you're behind this, if you told Steele to sort the rights because you were taken off the case,
I'm not stupid enough to ignore chain of command and go against official orders. Give me some credit, Chief.
And you better be sure you didn't. Luke Wright is coming here, and we both know he's trouble. I'd consider your friend lucky if he only gets charges put against him. Maybe if we can make sure he's in a good mood, he won't escalate the situation. Hell, maybe we'll have a bloody miracle and Steele only gets a slap on the wrist, but Lord knows it's unlikely with that man.
Indeed.
You know him well, Chief.
An observation, not an accusation. But it might as well be with how things panned out from the night of the housewarming party to the morning that followed. Sounds like your wife's even more fucking knows him even better, if you know what I mean. His wife's familiar with him too. Very familiar. I used to say that friendship hasn't coloured the investigation into Luke Wright. I don't want to accuse my superior, but damn it, he makes it difficult.
Of course I do, shouldn't you? We've been looking into the guy for so long. I'd call you a bad detective if you can't even tell me whether he's right or left-handed.
That's an easy one. He's left-handed, but he's been taught to use his right. You can tell when he picks something up with his left hand, but when he realizes that, he moves it to the right.
Well, at least I don't have to question your ability. Anyway, if I were you, I'd either go and make myself scarce or sit down and shut up. Don't go aggravating people, basically. Because you have a knack for that at the worst of times.
As much as I hate to say it, he's right. It's better to keep my mouth shut and not make things worse for Zack. There's not much to do now but hope for the best. They don't call for an investigation when it comes to petty felonies. Worst case scenario, he's looking at a fine worth £5,000 or 6 months in jail. Whoa. Best case scenario, we get the charges bumped down to trespassing, a misdemeanor and juvenile offence, and he'll be given probation, be charged for restitution. At this point, those seem to be the most likely outcome. I don't see how he could be framed for breaking and entering, unless he was taken into somebody's property against his will. Even in my head, that sounds unlikely.
I don't know what you're talking about, sir. I think I'm a delight to be around.
Tell that to my blood pressure pills. Anyway, let me handle him, alright?
Right on cue. The moment the chief says that, you know who arrives. Alright, well, we're going to wrap this one up here. Hopefully we can get Zack out. Maybe he's not dead. Maybe he won't die. Maybe we can actually get him out of here. I mean, we saw him get attacked by the ghost, but we didn't see him actually, like, die, you know. So, I don't know. Maybe that's why he's unconscious. Maybe he just crapped himself and fainted or something. I don't know. We'll see. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next one.